Moving on, we'll talk a little bit about gender equality and diversity. We touched upon a little bit, I think both of you touched upon a little bit in the very initial phases of when you were sharing your story, but we would like to hear something like real, how you have supported gender equality and diversity in life and work. Can be anything. We would love to hear something from you.
Grace, want me to go ahead?
Yeah, I think Radish, you have more experience in this. You're sitting in a committee for diversity. I think I mean, for me, I would just say very, very probably short comment is, I think in my selection, in my grooming, I really based on the skill set. So just now, I didn't get to answer the question, say how I feel about Women's Day, right? I somehow feel it's ironic. I don't need a Women's Day to celebrate for us, right? Why there is no International Men's Day, right? we don't need a Women's Day to I mean, it's a good reminder. It's a day for a celebration for us to show appreciation. But I think we don't really need that. Hope we don't need that, right? In reality, I do see. I mean, I can hear Jeeta, Radish, really prominent women leaders who support each other. I think it's important thing is, which I feel myself don't do enough to stand up to support. Although I treat everyone the same, to me, it doesn't matter. Whether it's woman or man, come to my team, competency basis, right? Result basis. And then in terms of friendship, building the bonding, it really depends on what you like. I mean, I cannot force another person to like me. It's really individual chemistry, right? I think women tend to, from my observation, I would, if you guys don't mind me using this phrase, we always have old boys club and all this, but you don't have old girls club, you don't have this phrase, right? I think women will need to really support each other more often, right? I think that's something I'm learning. It doesn't come to me naturally because I don't treat a person, woman or man, it's just kind of, but this is an International Women's Day will be a good reminder to me. And I really see Jeeta here, Radish here, I think a lot. I mean, Radish, we are personal friends. I really feel that a lot of things I can learn from you, right? Stand up for women and show more appreciations and probably pamper ourselves. Just now, I think Kiran was giving out the rewards, right? Awards. Yeah, I think pamper yourself. I think we have to learn how to pamper ourselves and pamper each other. We don't, I mean, for example, Valentine's Day, my husband will never buy me flowers anymore after like 30 years, right? And why I can't get a flower for myself, or why a girlfriend cannot send each other flowers. We can do that to pamper ourselves. Yeah, that's still a little bit, maybe a bit traditional within my heart. I think you have certain level of expectation, romantic expectation, right? But we can do the pampering ourselves or each other. I think those kind of support, emotional and professional, I think we can improve in that. I see the improvement, at least for myself. Some takeaways from this event for myself as well. Yeah. But Radish, back to you for the more serious topic, diversity.
No, we learn from each other. I mean, a lot of things that you said, inspire me, right? They resonate with me as well. And I truly agree that become the woman that actually stands for herself. You don't need your husband or your boyfriend to buy you a Cartier bracelet or a Hermes bag. You do it yourself because you are at that nice, level,
but
right?
We can do it for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's so much of joy in that, when you can do things for yourself, right? I'm not just saying materialistic things. I'm just giving an easy example that resonates with everyone, right? But yeah, I think Grace, you're spot on, right? Things like so I'll just translate that into action. What's been done? What I personally, in my experience, have done, and exactly to your point, one is that I have, as a leader, taken it upon myself to sponsor other women within my practice or within the firm, right? Broadly, I also mentor a number of women who have reached out to me and said that, look, I like to, for you to just mentor me, right? And I take that opportunity up when people reach out. I also have mentors. I have a mentor who's and people that I look up to, right? They're very, very successful women. One is a chairman of a board in an industry where women generally don't, get to that level. I mean, she's amazing. Her stories, when I ran a panel similar to this in Deloitte, she was on my panel, and her stories are amazing because she's late 60s. When she started as a lawyer in her career, the biases against her were very different. We didn't face that. So it is the sacrifice of women like this that have made a change from which we are benefiting, right? So I think we recognize that. So what do we then do? What's our legacy? What do we do for the next generation? We sponsor women, right? I do that. I take on a couple of women in my team. I sponsor them and guide them through their career and make sure that they get on, to become partners, right? So that's my commitment. I also then, if anyone reaches out to me, I think that's one thing I would do. Now, the other thing internally, now these are the difficult elements of equality. So I had very talented women within my team who went on maternity leave. So when they came back, right, when they wanted to come back to work, they said that can we have, and we didn't have a policy around that. We had global policy that was not necessarily implemented in the region. So they said that, can I do part-time? I'll work, 3 days a week, and 2 days I need to work from home to look after my infant, right? Because I don't necessarily yet trust my help and I don't have extended family, right? So I said, yes, absolutely, because you're such a talented, girl, talented woman. I want you to come back and contribute, but do it on your terms, and we will make it happen for you, right? So I went to HR. I fought the battle and made sure that we got that without shortchanging them, including ensuring that when their appraisal came in for the year, we did not say that, oh, she was working part-time because she had to look after her children. I did not permit that to happen. So I fought that battle as an individual, as a female leader, right, to support other females. I don't have children, for those of you who want to know, but I know that, but there was a choice, right? But for my colleagues who made a choice to have a family, my role is to support them, right? And today that's become policy. So, women and girls who go on maternity leave, and when they come back, working part-time, working 3 days a week or 4 days a week in men in which they're doing it now, it's not a problem. That's become policy. So if we don't start, we don't fight the battle, we get nowhere. We have to. We can't change the world, but we can change, what is within our control, right? So let's do that. All right. That should be our commitment to, to support. When I say women supporting women, that should be our commitment in whatever little way we can do. We should support. And whether you support a girl child from a poor country, support her education. There's so many different ways we can do this. But look, I think, it's ultimately, if women don't support women, no one else is going to do this for us, right? So back to you, Jeeta.
I think very well said. It reminds me of a very saying, like, she believed she could, and so she did, actually. So I think very well put together. We'll open up now for questions from the panel. We'll take two to three questions maybe, and then we wrap up, actually. So maybe to the audience, to the Tookitakians, if you want to ask questions to Radish and Grace, here's your chance, and go for it, I would say.
So just now we had one woman and one man ask the question. Now it's open to anyone. Yeah.
Okay, so I will start. Man will start, just to take the lead for a change. Hey, Radish and Grace, I think it was very wonderful listening the insights from your experiences and so on, right? So it's fantastic. So I was telling one of my teams in the morning, like, we women, I was just saying that we men, so it's all the same. So there's no difference. Just talk about, let's say, unconscious bias. What kind of those unconscious bias from your experience is holding women taking the step forward? What is holding them back? If you could share some of those thoughts, I think that would help. That's one. And two, a lot of talk in a board level, every organization, right? They have their D&I agenda, the numbers, and you need to have X percentage of women in the roles and so on and so forth, right? And I have also seen in different organizations, when you have those numbers, it drives a little bit of a favoritism topic, and that moves men away from the discussions, right? So in one of the organizations that I worked for, I was probably the only man in the room of like some 30 women. We're celebrating breakfast, and we had a women's influence network and so on and so forth. So there are pros and cons when you have these metrics, tough metrics to get to. Okay, I need to meet 25% of women board members should be women, right? Great, but it's also moving men away from opportunity. They say, hey, it's more of a quota than the meritocracy, right? So how do you balance these two? Especially in your leadership roles, you are handling men and women both, right? So do you get to see these kind of unconscious bias coming into play? Say, hey, you're promoting men. No, not promoting men, but promoting women because you being a woman. So how do you tackle these things? Share some of your thoughts there.
Okay. I think Murali, very valid questions, right? These are issues that are real. Okay. So first thing first, women coming forward. Okay. Now, research has proven, and this is a research that many organizations have done, and we too have done one internally, where women typically won't raise their hand as easily as men would. Even if they're 100% qualified to do the job, they will think it through and say, no, I think, I'm not ready. But a man who only knows 60% will raise his hand and say, I can do it. So that's one problem. Okay, so which we're trying to bridge that gap with women to say that, look, you need to take on challenges and you need to take on the accountability that comes with it. Okay. And when it comes to managing family and everything, we'll create the infrastructure around it for you to be able to manage the two things. So I think it's, again, depends on the organization, right? That you provide that that ecosystem for them to thrive, right? It should always be what I say. It should be a environment to thrive, not to survive. Yeah. So that's important, but again, depends organization to organization. But inherently, women generally will not prop themselves up. Someone has to nudge them. Okay. So that's one issue, right? We'll and look, there's no easy answer to that. Okay. Now you mentioned another thing about quota, right? Now, I think the quota thing has been overplayed a little bit simply because traditionally people did not feel that diversity and inclusivity was important. What is that about? That's not about men and women. That's about bringing perspective. We need to also bring different perspective. We need to embrace everyone. Now, in my team, when I look at diversity and inclusion, it's not about men and women balance. It's about balance of nationalities, balance of views, balance of culture, balance of exposure. People who have had international exposure to people who have local and regional exposure, they're all important because that creates a far more balanced team, right? So it's not just about men and women, but yes, the other thing that I would consciously do is because traditionally nobody looked after women and women in the workforce. So, like I said, my mentor who, and I have a number of them, one is even an ex-minister and she is extremely, extremely eloquent, successful, and has done a lot of great stuff. And one of them, who today is the chairman of a board, and the kind of sacrifices these women made for us to be where we are today, we need to acknowledge and recognize that. And therefore, we need to do things for we need to take certain actions for the next, generation, the younger people. I don't think the quota is the fact that quota is enforced and therefore men are stepping away. I don't think necessarily my perspective. I take your perspective because that's the way your experiences and you look at things. But I'd say I look at it very differently, right? It's because we do need to encourage boards. We need to encourage management. We need to encourage, sort of general talent management. That we need to have diversity of views, we need to have diversity of culture, we need to have diversity of experience to become a better organization, to become to strive to become excellent in what we do, right? So for that, I think diversity is important. Why this is come up for boards is because for years and years women were marginalized, though they were qualified to sit on boards, to bring perspective, to bring expertise, but they were marginalized. So at some point, like I said earlier, like International Women's Day is not going to exist for 100 years, because at some point we'll reach the equilibrium, right? We'll come to a point where we'll say, now we're equal, we don't need to do this anymore. But till then, right? Till then, it is a campaign, if you like. And I don't think men should shy away. And let me share an unrelated example with you. Okay, now, you know, secret societies, the Freemasons. Tell me about that. You know, how inclusive are they? Right? That's one. So these are the things that people don't realize. These are the underlying factors that have created that wave, if you like, right? Or that ripple that women also have to come forward and say, we've arrived, right? Freemasons or the traditional long bars, women couldn't even step into it. You can stand outside the boundary. Explain that to me. How's that fair? How's that correct? How's that perspective shaping generations to come, right? So these are the things that, you know, I think we need to evolve from, right? And today there's a campaign, evolution campaign, if you like. And in 20 years down the road, we may reach at a level where we want to be, and we won't be talking about this. We then may be talking about diversity from male perspective, because there are some industries like, you know, if you look at publishing and you look at journalism, you know, today a lot of people say that we find it difficult to attract male talent. So look, the it's a reverse discussion for them, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would say. But I'd love to have coffee and talk more about this. I can go on for days.
Sure, sure. Great. Thanks for sharing.
Murli, thanks for the question. I think a very valid question, and you know, a powerful lady replying to you on that. I think, you know, and I do believe, you know, the quota system. Even if you look at you know, taking cues, I don't know whether I should mention, but if I look at the Indian quota system also, which is not about women or anything, about caste, right? You know, it was there, or it was made in the constitution by Ambedkar. Sir, the reason because, you know, they were marginalized actually, and now there is a reverse discussion going on. Okay, are the qualified ones getting chance? Similar for women actually, that, you know, they were marginalized in many industries, and even today that is the case. So maybe, as Radish mentioned, if the campaign, you know, this campaign, if we all women start supporting each other, maybe, you know, things would change 10, 20 years down the line. But till that time, you know, it's always that fight. And I'm sure, you know, the change happened due to a lot of, not only about women, but change happened with a lot of men coming forward and making this you know, change as well. You know, in our culture, you know, I belong from, you know, a kind of a state called West Bengal or Bengal. Over there we had 3-4, you know, I would say luminaries, you know, who really paved the way for women changing the women's system. One was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. I just want to mention that, you know, who abolished Sati Daha, where I'm not sure, Grace, if you know that. So in India, it was a kind of a very tradition that where women, you know, young women, if the husband dies, the women was asked to die, you know, like burnt alive, actually. We have Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, you know, who really paved the way for, you know, women child marriage, actually, because women were married off at a very certain young age, and they were not remarried. So there are a lot of, you know, exemplaries, you know, who really made it, and those were men, actually. So so it's kind of a combination, I would say, but this campaign has to last long till we reach that position where, you know, we ourselves self-believe in us, and also, you know, get to that state that, you know, we can, you know, that, as Radish mentioned, she has arrived, you know, something like that. Yeah.
No, that's great. I mean, thanks for sharing all those thoughts, right? I mean, just reminds me, Radish, you know, when you talk about jobs, right? So the same job description you give to a man and say, hey, can you do it? It doesn't even skim through. Yeah, can. But if you just give the same job description to women, so they will find out one small point which they cannot, and then say, hey, you know, maybe I'm not really sure. So there was a time where, we really needed to get good woman talent into the game. So we kind of rewrite the entire job description, because the way you absorb information, culture, I mean, as a human being, as woman versus female versus male, it's different. So you also need to write job descriptions differently to attract more men, especially in the tech.
Totally.
Okay, we'll take maybe one more question. Do we have, I think there was a question. Okay, I got a question. I don't know who is this. Maybe Radish or Grace, any one of you can, answer this actually. Were there any challenges for you to have a seat at the board, especially being in a fintech industry? So there is a question from someone. Yeah. Anonymous someone.
Grace, you want to?
Yeah, okay. Well, as I said, my observation is that okay, maybe there is still, I still see the unbalanced board composition for sure. So before my current role, I actually worked decades in the banking, right? So I took a break. So I went to help with some digital bank applications in Singapore. Some of the applicants want to form a board, right? That's the regulatory requirement for you to have the board and the senior management. So when I searched through the market for them, I really realized that the pool of the women leaders to choose from is very, very limited, right? Many of us, as what Radish mentioned, and I think it's because out of that requirements, there are some we are not so sure. I think Radish and I might have already read the same research paper. The guy only knows 60% will raise a hand. I can definitely do it, right? The woman will go through and make sure I can deliver every single item there. So there is some issue in that, in woman itself. I think we need to have the can-do attitude. Fintech, of course, all along is kind of a bit of bias, like in a sense to women, for sure. Difficulty getting into the board. I think one is because of talent coming up, right? Who comes to the top in this senior pool is relatively small, right? The second thing is I still feel the women's support for each other is not as great as I have seen for the guys. So for example, where I was searching for the board candidates, right? So get some referrals from some retired partners from Big Four and all these. All the referrals come back. 80 to 90% are men. And even the woman's referrer is men, right? But then as I said, of course, in reality, the pool is relatively small already when you come to the top. The second thing I think people tend to think, if you look at all the leaders in major banks or major fintech players, how many are women? That's a reality, right? So I think this is a progress. Although I said just now, I hope there's no need for International Women's Day. But historically, and what Jeeta shared some of the practice in India, right? In older days, I mean, if you think about China many years ago, one-child policy, and where a lot of farmers, right? Farming was the main industry. Naturally, the family only want boys. You don't want girls. What can they do, right? I mean, naturally. So now we look at the reality now. Maybe a lot of guys will be worried about how to find girlfriend, because there is just huge discrepancy there, right? And how to kind of continue the generation on. These are a lot of things historical, with a lot of historical background to it, and the policy shift, right? Along generation and after generation of the government policies. We still, to reach my ideal world of, I don't really need to see the gender at all, right? We still need many years of effort, as what Radish said, it's a progress. we hope the younger generations can step up. You are competent, you are capable. Why not raise your hand, right? Do not think too much about what other people say. Oh, I have real life cases. I identified some talent who I told her that you can be not just as good as me, you can be definitely better than me at a much younger age. And she said, no, I don't think so. I have two young kids, and I don't have a lot of parental support. I mean, why can't? You have masters, you are in AI engineering, you have all the backgrounds, you have years of experience. Just need to stand up, raise your hand, right? So I think we will support that. I think it's a journey, I would say it's a journey. We should all support each other.
Thank you, Grace. And on that note, I'll just close the event. So thank you, Grace and Radish, and for your participation, and to all the Tookitakians for making it today to the first virtual International Women's Day 2022. We heard three powerful ladies, Alice, Radish, and Grace, as they spoke what it's like to be you and celebrating you. Hope to see us all taking cues from this and applying that in our lives. So be you, celebrate you, and be happy.